I'm the guy in the middle.
I'm the guy on the left.
I'm the guy on the right.
Wait, what? Welcome back for another episode of KORRACAST. We're really excited to get talking about this new episode of Legend of Korra. Before we do that, though, if you haven't already, make sure you check out our website, www.korracast.com. Also, make sure that you like us on Facebook. And if you haven't done this either, go to youtube.com/theyumchunks and hit subscribe.
And just a quick reminder, once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a Legend of Korra poster and a couple other goodies. We're at about 750 subscribers right now, so be sure to subscribe.
Alright, now let's talk about episode 3.
In the third episode of Legend of Korra, The Revelation, in order to collect enough money to pay off their pro-bending fees, Bolin joins the Triple Thread Triads for an upcoming turf war and disappears. Mako and Korra, concerned with Bolin's safety, search for him at the Triad base, only to find it ransacked by Equalists and all the Triad members, Bolin included, abducted. The two follow the kidnapped Bolin to an Equalist event, where Amon shows off his ability to permanently take away bending. Korra and Mako manage to rescue Bolin, and Amon decides to let them go so they can spread the word of his power. Korra returns to Air Temple Island and tells Tenzin the events of the Equalist event, which causes him to fear the anti-bending revolution even more.
Okay, where do we start? Okay, so it's been a while since we've had an episode of Legend of Korra, and they are just diving right in, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, bending has changed so much in the last 70 years. You know, for one thing is that, like, we have Mako is working in a power plant, but apparently it's being supplied by firebenders that know how to lightning bend. So that also means that lightning bending is somewhat commonplace.
Yeah, it's the same with earth bending and metal bending. These things that were such a big deal in the original series, it's just like the rise of technology in our real world. When the light bulb was invented, it was like, holy crap, look at this! But now it's like, okay, cool. Kind of the mysticism surrounding bending has kind of been stripped away in the series. Maybe not entirely, but definitely you got characters saying the world has no place for benders anymore. People who are pro-bending it's very boxing style. And then when they're talking about the triads, one of the triads is called the Agni Kais.
So this is something they throw around. It's not like Agni Kai used to be like big deal kind of a thing. Now it's just like, yeah, it's just to name one of the like common thug groups.
In the first series, all that was going on was a gigantic war between all 4 nations. So where does bending fit in when there is no war and it's just an established society? I almost am agreeing with Amon. Like, what are the benefits of bending in a society where you don't need bending?
I'm questioning my own existence right now.
Bending is the coolest thing in the world.
The only reason they exist is for a more practical means, or end, goal, right? There's less of a spiritualism regarding bending.
Aang was brought up in a society that idolizes the Avatar, and he knows the role that he has to play, and his whole journey is about stepping into those shoes. But Korra, she's facing a world that is changing. Is she actually needed? Can the world get on without her?
This is like a revolution that's kind of happening in the world right now. It is a revolution. If you compare it to, like, say, the French Revolution, it was basically the people rising up saying, do we need a king anymore? You know, do we need a monarchy? Like, what's the point of this? Do we need an avatar? Well, maybe not.
Amon is basically saying that the world doesn't need benders anymore, and his plan is just to rid the world of bending. It's not to kill anybody, because what he does does not physically harm a person. So all he is doing is leveling the playing field.
True.
But the only flaw in that is that he's the only one that can do that, so that instantly gives him a power that no one else has.
What I found also erroneous about his statement is that by taking someone's bending ability away from there, he's also taking away their livelihood. Because if you make your living bending, like let's say pro-benders, or Mako who works in a power plant, the police...
The police force.
Right, they make their money bending.
The world got where it was because of great benders like Aang and Zuko. So without benders, is it just going to totally halt the advancement of the world?
Well, how's this plan going to work?
I don't know.
There's a lot of benders in the world. Is he going to seek out and de-bend every single one?
What I'm thinking is that just the idea of having a person that can take away your powers is going to limit the amount of people that will bend. People will just say they're not benders. People will be afraid to ever bend.
Right, but what if Amon has some sort of test for if you're a bender or not? Like, I don't know, maybe he just puts a rock in front of them, or like some water in front of them, and it starts doing things on its own. I don't know.
The Last Airbender. Okay.
Way. he's gonna find a way of provoking benders, antagonizing them into using their bending to either expose themselves or to use it as an example of benders being violent.
Yeah, when Korra shows up to that same processor guy that she met in the first episode and uses earthbending to flip his stage and...
Yeah.
Come on, Korra!
I know I shouldn't be trying to compare it,
No.
but whenever I see her, I always think, what would Aang do in this situation? It's usually the exact opposite of what Korra does.
Yeah. It is. Well, that's one thing I've been saying from the beginning. They spend all this time training Korra, but they're training her
Wrongly.
Wrongly, because it seems like they didn't teach her any diplomatic skills, only fighting skills.
Anyway, so let's rewind it back to a little bit. The big focal point of this episode was the rally. I thought we can agree on.
Yeah.
A lot of questions are answered, but a lot more questions are created.
Did anyone else feel like Amon's backstory, it really reminded me of in The Dark Knight, whenever the Joker is telling his fake backstory about what happened? You wanna know how I got these scars?
Amon is scarier than I thought he was going to be.
Right, because we don't know what to believe and what not to believe.
Did he get his powers from the spirit? Is that for real?
He claims that. And
What the heck is that about?
Did you also notice that while Amon was energy bending, the guy was shooting lightning, it turned back into fire, and then turned into nothing.
That was
so
one
it was
of the most chilling
pure-
moments in the episode
Yeah.
for me. That
It
was
was
one of the
haunting.
It was.
oh jeez.
Like
yeah.
it's crumbling away. His power is literally being evaporated.
And what better way to do that and to wake people up than to do it in a public demonstration?
this was the revelation, as they call it. So no one knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, they said, they're like, well, we don't know. We want to find out. That's where we're going.
Even people who are on his side could still be in awe and in fear of the power that he possesses. Energy bending felt like the atomic bomb of this world for him. One more point that I wanted to bring up was this theory that we were talking about earlier as to where the show's going to go after this. We saw a preview at the end of the episode that Korra is going to go challenge Amon to a duel, which is stupid, by the way. But and then there's a shot of her getting captured and chained up. They're not going to get rid of her powers now, or are they? What?
They never say, it's never a rule that's saying that the Avatar has to have their powers throughout the entire show. Who's to say that the show isn't going to be about Korra having to fulfill her duty as the Avatar without having any of the powers of the Avatar?
Yeah, that would be really bold. What if they neutralize her of her powers on episode 4, and she has to spend the whole rest of the season figuring out how to get her powers back and be the Avatar without being able to bend?
Yeah. It would be a really bold move, because I think a lot of fans and viewers would be like, wait a minute, I'm watching a show about an Avatar that can't bend?
Do you think they could pull it off then?
Mike Ryan, yes.
I think the purpose of this series is going to be why the spiritual side of being the Avatar is so important, and why bending itself isn't as important.
Yes.
I like it. Brilliant.
I like
The things that you said are things that I like to hear. So here's the viewer response question for this week. Do you think Aang will have a mustache when Korra talks to him in the spirit world?
That's not our thing. No.
So do you think during the course of this show, we'll see a main character lose their bending? If so, who will it be and why?
Alright, so let us know what you think, and we'll put in the best responses for next week.
In the wake of this depressingly horrific episode, let's take a look at some Avatar haikus.
Caleb Anderson wrote this haiku. Mako is a beast, a firebending master. This you can't deny. Poetry. 1310 Beth wrote, Mako is sexy. Korra is a total boss. This show is perfect. Vicky Meister wrote, Equalist will strike. Korra might fall into love. What will she do next? Wendy Sage wrote, Avatar Korra versus the ruthless Amon, an epic showdown. Borg Mandalinko wrote, A tale continued. Stories unfold from the past. The universe lives. Aang7777 wrote, I like Avatar. It makes me happy inside. This show is really good.
That's one too many syllables there, bub.
Well, why don't we try?
Yeah, let's give a haiku a shot. Let's do it.
That's right.
Okay, I think I got one. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next episode.
Pancakes are yummy!